Is Jerry Seinfeld's joke about the bobsled, the luge, and the skeleton true? I think it is.
I went to buy some camo pants and I couldn't find any.
Is fire on fire?
Hold up. It's the Chargers Squad. Everything Los Angeles Chargers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the City of Angels. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Chargers Squad Show, starting now.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Chargers Squad Show. I am Pete Fox, covering sports in LA dating back to 2007 for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio. Kenjon Barner, 3 pieces of jewelry and 10 years in the league. Jim Daniels, covering sports in LA since 2001. We worked together at NBC Sports Radio. To answer your question, Jim, is fire on fire? I don't know, but I still think back to the one. It took me like almost the entire show when you said something about puddle pushers and clam diggers. I was like, what is he talking about? You were comparing, it was khakis or clam diggers.
Yeah.
And it was that to explain to other people that were confused as well. That was Mike McDaniel's pants style versus Jim Harbaugh's pants.
Exactly right.
And I will explain my query at the start. Jerry Seinfeld, I stumbled across it on my Instagram feed today, came up. It's from way back. It's 20, 30 years old, but he makes a joke about, he does a whole bit on the Olympics, especially the Winter Olympics. And he says, I think the bobsled luge skeleton is the only sport where you could just grab somebody off the street, throw them into the competition, and the results would be the same. Right. And literally, I was just watching the skeleton. That's the one where you go down face first. I think it's 100% true because they don't guide those sleds at all. The luge is not. They do guide the sleds with the front two rail. But the skeleton, they're just on there along for the ride. He goes, I can't wait for maybe next year they'll do the involuntary luge. Just grab
Voluntary luge.
Yeah, grab strangers off the street. Oh, no.
Maybe you're a world-class athlete, bro. Are you getting on one of those things?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Really?
I'm ready today.
You're down?
Right now, I'm ready.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's one of those ones where it looks like, how hard could that be? All you're doing is
70 miles an hour, bro.
I'm an adrenaline junkie, so this is right up my alley. I'm right up my alley.
True.
Yeah.
I would too. I mean, I've jumped out of airplanes, so.
I'm an arrogant adrenaline junkie. As I watched, I was watching Super G, which is kind of like downhill, but kind of like slalom. They kind of combine the two. And they were going 60, 70 miles an hour through those gates. I'm like, I could totally do that.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty good skier, but I don't know about 60 or 70 miles. And here's the hard part. You got to do it for like almost 2 minutes, right? Straight, like you don't get to stop in the middle and shake it off and take a breath. You're just.
Did you see Lindsey Vonn bite it?
I didn't.
That was at like maybe 30 miles an hour. That was at the top of the run. She wasn't even going that fast. She destroyed her leg.
I did not want to watch it. I feel so bad.
Oh man, she hit so hard.
She's had 3 surgeries already on that leg to fix it. And she's sitting there with one of those contraptions bolted to it.
I saw that.
Oh, it's crazy, crazy.
Contraption.
Well, today on the Locked On Chargers Squad Show, we're going to talk about free agency. We're going to talk about not necessarily the draft because there's a lot of meat on that bone, and we'll get to that stuff down the road. But the Chargers have $83.5 million of cap room. There's a name that's been floated out there that, I think is kind of a pipe dream to a certain extent. Maybe it's just kind of like, hey, let's discuss all options and see who's available. And do we want to spend money on that guy? We're going to get to that mystery person in a while. And we're going to start with our favorite game of the year. So we're gonna recap all 18 of them, or what do they play? 17? I don't even know. So we're gonna go through all of them at some point here during the offseason. And since nobody was hired over the last couple of days, we have
got a break in that, huh? Got a break in the hiring.
Yeah. So for this one, KB, Jim and I had the same answer. And for us, our favorite game of the year was number one.
Oh, okay. See if he said the same thing.
What game was your favorite game, KB?
So there, I could go a few different areas here, right? I can go the 16-13 win, right, over the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Week
15.
Or I can sit right at home and I can go the 22-19 win over the Eagles.
That's a good one. Jim and I liked week 1 for a variety of reasons. I think I enjoyed week 1, Jim, and you can agree with me or disagree on these points. I liked week 1 because everything was fresh and clean and rosy and everything was looking bright. And we were like, yeah, beat the Chiefs, right?
Yep.
And when it was on the road, and I think that played into the Chargers' hands as a favorable situation being in Brazil. I think that kind of like gave them like a clean slate, so to speak. It was, even. But the thing about that was great for me was Quentin Johnston's game. He had a whale of a game. Huge day, 2 touchdowns, led the team with 79 yards receiving, a big play at like 12 and a half of the first quarter, big chunk play there. That was awesome. He got the first touchdown and then he got the last touchdown, which sealed it for the Chargers. And here's the thing that of the plays in that game that were big for me was the Chargers held the Chiefs twice down deep in the red zone to a field goal, right? The Chiefs also did the Chargers some few favors. They missed an extra point to tie it at 13 and they missed a 2-point conversion, but you could give that credit to the defense because it was a nice play by, I think, Deshaun Hand. The Chargers held them, forcing a field goal at a point where the game could have been tied again. And then I think, KB, one of the memorable plays that we talked about a lot after the game was that Herbie 19-yard run around the end.
The slide.
Yes, to kind of seal it. That was right at the minute mark. And for me, if I want to, when I see Herbie running the ball, that's the scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, okay, this is a safe play and it's a huge productive play. I don't like him running because he has no other option, right? I feel like that type of play, and granted, I don't know if it was drawn up that way. It seemed like it was a bit of a broken play, but he checked once, I think, and then ran. I just watched the highlights. So it wasn't like he was like, oh, damn, I got nowhere else to go. He's like, that's not there, I'm running, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that is that's the kind of running we need to see from him. So, Jim, what were your memories of that game when you think back?
First of all, the whole distraction, the whole, being out of the country and you're hoping that, maybe people aren't going to be completely focused. It's the beginning of the season. So it was dream come true. We got somebody we really wanted to pop in the mouth and really beat, and they did. And it set the tone for the whole season too, because of the way they played, the way they won. But I'm going to say that I can dip to week number 3 right after that. It's another favorite game this season because all of this offseason talk about the Broncos this, the Broncos that, blah, 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 bang, 23-20. See you later. Get out of here. Take your quarterback and go figure some stuff out. I think he got sore ankles. Week number 3 was okay for me too, because that was continuing to set the tone, right? We beat the Chiefs. Now we beat the Broncos. Let's go. Let's do this. Week 3 was another solid one for me. Beat day is so fun.
For me, great game. I think you guys made a great choice. But for me, going back to that, the second Kansas City game, that's where I'm gonna lay my hat at. That's where I'm gonna make my bed. That's where I'm gonna get in the bed, put the cover on me, and just lay there. It had zero to do with the offense, but it had everything to do with the defense. And listen, I know I'm an offensive guy, right? So I'm supposed to be all about the offense, all about the running backs, the quarter. I know. But for me, it was the physicality in which the Chargers played with. It was something that we hadn't seen collectively. We've seen it from individual guys throughout the season. But if you talk about a group of guys saying, you know what, you're going to feel us every single snap. And it started with Tony Jefferson. That man was coming down here like a throwback safety. I'm talking about Sean Taylor, Troy Polamalu, Ryan Clark. He had ill intent every single time he came down here. And I say Ryan Clark because if that Pittsburgh Steelers team is the reason why the NFL is as soft as it is today, why we have guys out there with padded whatever on top of their helmets. They're the reason. Yeah, it's crazy. But the way that the Chargers defense played versus Kansas City, they came with intent and something to prove. They came with a message, and you're going to feel us every single snap. You come across the middle, I'm hitting you. You catch the ball, I'm hitting you. You run the ball, I'm hitting you. I absolutely, and I thought that's what we were going to get throughout the remainder of the season. But that, for me, that game right there, because it showed me something we had not seen. We hadn't seen the team collectively say, you know what? We're going to dominate you physically. We're going to intimidate you. We're going to break your will. And that's what they did in that game. So for me, it's that game. What was that, week 16? Week 16 versus Kansas City, 15?
Yeah.
That game right there for me.
Oweh 2 sacks in that game. They held Pacheco to 21 yards on defense. Mahomes under 200 throwing. Omari
Got Arrowhead. Oh, by the way.
61, right? I think it definitely popped into my head as well, because that eliminated the Chiefs from the playoffs. And I remember afterwards, both us and Daniel and David also spent a lot of time talking about what that meant, eliminating the Chiefs. That felt, just really good, right?
And sweeping them.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I remember after that game? Nah. Nah. Hey, yeah, that was good for me, because we had to listen. It's been years.
Yeah.
And Kansas City has absolutely dominated the AFC and dominated the NFL. So, I'm a firm believer in get back has no expiration date on it. It took a long time. It was a long time coming, and the Chargers finally got their get back. Listen, I think the entire league was satisfied with that. The entire world, because there's something about the world doesn't like greatness. They don't like teams that continue and successfully win. So that did something for everybody. Everybody was happy that they did not have to see Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. It just was like a weight lifted off the world's shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had some texts from friends that were like, so glad to see the Chiefs out of the playoffs to make it just a little different. Rick in H-Town also points out 0 points allowed in the second half of that second win over the Chiefs. He liked the Cowboys win on the road. That was the one game I missed this season. I watched the game, but not like I normally do, right? Kind of more like a fan, right? And that game to me, the Cowboys win stuck out as a kind of a no doubter, right? It just didn't feel like it. And the same with the win over the Steelers, just didn't feel like the game was ever in doubt for the Chargers. They were just dominant,
Yeah.
So when you see those kinds of wins, you're like, yes, they're capable of it, and that feels good, and we know what they have it in them. Can they keep it up week after week? Obviously,
the Cowboys were circling the drain like the Wicked Witch of the West at that time of the season, so it was good to pile on and pound them into submission. That was thirst quenching, that one.
Yeah, for sure. That was a competent. Yeah, look, they needed that win at that point. The win over the Eagles, as you pointed out, KB, was another big one, right? Down the road, we should spend some time getting into that win, because I think for where the team was at that point, we were like, I remember looking at the schedule going, I was focusing on the Cowboy game, thinking it was a bigger game than that. As you looked ahead after the Jags lost, we had Raiders, Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys. I was kind of like, obviously the Chiefs are a big deal, and I was looking towards the Cowboys a little bit more. And I think I got a little bit of a backlash going, whoa, don't be, overlooking the Eagles. That's going to be a real game. And it was, it was tight, but I feel like you look at the final score, it's not really indicative of how the game went. I think the Chargers,
except for the defense, because Dak and the Dallas Cowboys were putting up points on everybody except the Chargers.
Yeah. So good wins throughout this entire season. Couple of head scratching losses, which is another day. But today we talk about the ones we liked the most, and the 2 wins over the Chiefs, especially the first one on the road. The season off to a good start, right? I think that was kind of the bigger issue. A win on the road over the Chiefs comfortably, confidently, when the Chiefs were doing that thing that they do, right? We're not out of it yet. You think we're out of it? You think you got this? You think you're winning right now? You think you're going to win this game? Not so fast.
We're still here.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going away. And like kind of inexplicably, I think not inexplicably, that's a bit of a stretch, but the Chargers won that game at times. And I think this is what made it a big win, when the Chiefs had two different opportunities to tie the game and they missed extra points. And then they had it down within the red zone, and the Charger defense bowed their neck and forced them to a field goal. So those were all like big time moments. And that's what I take away from that game, is a nice win to start the season. And then you win the next two in a row over division opponents, which was also huge. At that point, Chargers were ready for the Super Bowl. Right? Yeah. And everyone was asking, is Herbie going to be the MVP? Well, one guy thought he was, but that's where that ended. But all right, we'll take the first break. When we come back, we're going to get into a long list of free agents and where we think they fit in with the Chargers or elsewhere. It's the Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel, where you find Daniel and David Monday through Friday with the Locked On Daily Chargers podcast. Check them out. All right, today's episode of the Locked On Chargers Squad Show is brought to you by TurboTax Full Service. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life this year. TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off, get all your documents in order, stack them up nicely, paperclip on the top, send them off to TurboTax Full Service, and move on with your day. TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employment forms and work to get you every deduction. For a limited time, you can have TurboTax Full Service do your taxes for just $150 all in. That's $150 in, done by a local TurboTax expert. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just make sure you get that stuff in by the end of the month, February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to life. Visit turbotax.com/appointment today. All right. Well, the Chargers have $83.5 million. Jim has an interesting question about that for you, KB.
Jim, appreciate that, Pete. KB, how much can you get for $83 million these days? I mean, it just doesn't seem like $83 million goes as far as it used to.
Well, it depends on how much you're willing to pay. So, this day and age, you got to pay to play. And so if depending on the free agents that are out there, depending on the guys that you want to bring back, that 83 million can get eaten up pretty darn fast. You know what I'm saying? We talked about Oweh. That's a 19 million, almost $20 million contract if that's what they're going to pay him to come back and play. So it can go by the wayside very fast. 83 million sounds like a lot of money, right? It sounds like you got a whole lot of money to play with, but at the end of the day, it's not that much based on the value of players in this day and age.
Here's let's play it either or, this or that. Okay. If you could have one or the other, because I just don't feel like we're going to be able to get both Khalil Mack and Adafei Oweh, because Khalil Mack is his second year as a high sought after free agent. Who do you pick between those two? Look, your opinion could be that we get both, but I just feel like they're going to pick one or the other. We've talked about Oweh a lot. As you said, 19 million over 3 years is kind of the number, what they're looking at. Khalil Mack's probably maybe in the same neighborhood, a little bit less because he's a little bit older. Mm-hmm. But pick one. If you can only pick one of those two, which is it? Which do you like better, KB?
That's tough, because I've kind of putting on my GM hat over the days. And so I start looking at the game. I start looking at it from a business standpoint. And if we're talking about upside and potential, right, you got to go with Oweh, based off of what he produced, based off of what he's done, and based off of the amount of time that I can have him for. You aren't going to have Khalil Mack that much longer. I don't know how much longer he wants to play or he's willing to play. But at the end of the day, Father Time catches us all. And he's been injured. He's had injuries that have set him down for significant amounts of time. And so if I'm a GM, right, with my GM hat on, I'm definitely going to lean more towards Oweh than I am towards the great Khalil Mack.
Here's some numbers, Jim. Khalil Mack, 5.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, played 12 games. Oweh, 7.5 sacks, played 12 games. 3 sacks in that loss to New England. That was he was a big part of keeping the Chargers somewhat relevant in that game as they tried to find some offense. So I kind of lean. The other thing about Mack that you can't really put a number on is the intangibles. I'm reading this from the Chargers website. He said his leadership, or they say in the story on the Chargers website, his leadership helping guys like Tuiopoloto has been invaluable over the years. So that's another huge part. And not to say that Oweh can't do that as well, but he's just younger, right, Jim? You want the young?
I got to go with the younger guy. For me, it's if you're holding a gun to my head and making me choose, I got to go with the younger guy because there's more tread on the tire. There's more to go. But I mean, what the Chargers need to do is a couple of things. You need both of these guys because you need Khalil Mack and his leadership in there. You really do. He is helping the team in other ways, even if he's not on the field. But you want somebody to play more than 12 games also. But the thing is the Chargers are going to have to, that 83 million, like KB said, is going to go pretty quick. So what are you going to do after that? And we're here in Southern California. We're watching this team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, spend and spend and spend and spend. But you know what? They're spending because they're in a good spot. They got a lot of talent. And so they're just piling on. And I hope that the Chargers will look at them and see, you know what? The time is right. The window is open. We've got everything that we need going forward. This is the year to not only spend, but overspend. If we got to pay the tax, then pay the damn tax. But let's win a Super Bowl in Los Angeles. We're that close, and we're going to have to spend more than $83 million.
Yeah.
Well, Khalil Mack, didn't he talk about retiring before last season? So you're not going to have to go 3 years with him, right? I mean, you could probably get him on a 1-year deal potentially.
But that 1-year deal is going to cost you.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to get Khalil Mack cheap on a 1-year deal because You said you should.
You should. He should. I mean, he's at the end. This is a chance to win a Super Bowl. He doesn't have one of those, I don't think. Right? Does he?
No, he doesn't. But it's you know what I'm saying? It's the old hometown discount, right?
Exactly.
I love the organization. I've been here, but at the end, Khalil Mack has made a ton of money throughout his career, a ton of money. So he's not hurting for money. But how much does he love being in LA? How much does he love being with the Chargers? How much does he love his defensive coach? How much does he love the defensive coordinator? How much does he love his teammates? All of that comes into play, but at the end of the day, I still need to be paid at my value. Sure. And as you just said, Pete, it's not always about the sacks. It's not always about the pressures. It's not always about the forced fumbles or interceptions. Sometimes your impact goes way further than what's being done on the field. And Khalil Mack's presence is enough in itself. His experience is something that nobody else on that defensive line has. He's seen everything from an offensive line. He's seen the double teams, the triple teams. He knows how to get things done. He knows how to sacrifice for the team, and then he knows how to go for the team. So again, I need to be paid at what my value brings. And so that 1-year deal, again, if I'm Khalil Mack, I'm not coming in for a 1 for 5. I'm not coming in for a 1 for 6. This 1 year is going to have to, it's going to have to be beneficial for me to say, okay, I'll sit for a year, but the contract is going to have to match. The money is going to have to be there. I just don't think that Khalil Mack is going to say, I'll come in 1 for 4. He's not that kind of player.
He's that important that you should pay more. He's that
1,000%, 1,000%.
They're saying he's made over $200 million in his career, according to Google, and according to Sport Track, in 2026, the projected salary should be around 18 mil. That's heavy. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, he deserves it. But
one of them deferred deals
for one, yeah, exactly. Call up the Dodgers, ask him how that goes. But for 1 year, I think, you dig into that because we've heard the word continuity a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like the players want to be a part of what's going on right now with this team, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's big. Speaking of experience, Tony Jefferson, another name that's out there, free agent for the Chargers. Now, I feel like he's probably a little bit more of a discount because he's also getting up there in years. But had a great year for the Chargers.
Yeah, and I was going to say that yesterday's price is not today's price for Tony Jefferson. The year he had, the impact he made, the plays that he made, In my opinion, his value went up. I hate the conversation about in regards to age, and it's not to what you said, Pete, but the bottom line of it is the NFL looks at guys different when they start touching 30 and 30. They look at you like you can't play the game no more. You're no longer athletic. You have no agility left. You have no speed. It's just a funny thing, but guys are playing the game a hell of a lot longer past 30 years old.
He's 34 now.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But the way the dude didn't look like a 34-year-old on the field. He didn't play like a 34-year-old. Now,
Nope.
the wisdom and knowledge that he has of the game, yeah, that's a dude that's been in the league for a long time. But when you look at the energy, you look at the intent, you look at the effort, you look at the attitude, Tony Jefferson, again, it's value. How much do you value what he brought in? I know we talked last week about Nasir possibly coming in. And so if you look at Nasir and say maybe he's comparable to a Tony Jefferson, then do you let Tony walk? But I think that would be a mistake due to what Tony brings from an experience standpoint. I mean, we've seen this last season. You bring him back to the practice squad, right? And the dude steps in right away and he looks like a starter because he is a starter. He is a guy who has started his entire NFL career. And so you could go that route again, right? And I think Tony loves being where he's at, right? An organization that gave him opportunity when he was in the scouting department. You don't really hear those type of stories. That doesn't happen. And so again, what Tony brings to the table, in my opinion, goes far beyond football. This dude was an absolute monster this season. You going back to that Week 15 game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. It was Tony Jefferson. It was Tony Jefferson that was setting the tone for this defense. It wasn't Derwin. It wasn't Khalil. It wasn't Thule. It wasn't Henley. It wasn't any of those guys. It was Tony Jefferson coming downhill and setting the tone, and everybody rose to his level of play and matched his energy. So I would hate to see Tony walk, but if you have something younger and you have something that the NFL is about potential. That's what it's about. If you're looking at a guy that has the potential to be just as good or better than Tony Jefferson, then you would have to let him walk.
Another name that's out there that I think is cool from the standpoint of we sat here for many weeks during the season scratching our head going, how do they find somebody to help this offensive line? And it seemed like an uphill task, right? Uphill sledding for sure. Impossible to a certain extent, but they did it. And they found Bobby Hart, right? Bobby Hart was out of football since 2022, made his last start in 2021, came into this offensive line midway through the season, played 8 games, and really provided some stability for this team and depth that they just needed desperately, which obviously they still need. So to keep him around, I hope they find a place for him because the offensive line was a problem and he was some stability during the season. And it also doesn't feel like he's going to be a guy that requires, a long-term, lot of money kind of a deal. Because I don't know that he would come out and be a starter next year, but you got to, offensive line is next man up all the time, right, Jim?
Oh yeah. No, you said that. And in talking about money here, I hope I'm not jumping ahead here. Tyler Linderbaum is a center in Baltimore who's a young man who's going to be a free agent this year. And if we wanted to spend some money, there you go. This is a guy. I mean, this guy, it's exactly really, I think, what McDaniel would want, because the guy is great at exotic blocking schemes. That's one of the things that he excels at a very young age, which is good to be the fact that he gets it and understands it at such a young age, at just 25 years old. So this is a guy that I saw when I was looking at the free agent list, making out my Christmas wish list that I saw up there. And I thought, okay, if we're going to spend the money and we want to do something in the offensive line, and everybody thinks the center would be a good spot to do that. Yeah, Pete, I do agree with you. We do need next man up like never before in this business, especially after the season that we just had. But this is the guy that's at the top of my free agent wish list this year.
If you're gonna bring Bobby back, you bring him back as a backup.
Yeah.
He did great for what we needed him for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He stepped in, stepped up, and definitely helped this offensive line and helped Herbert out, but it still wasn't good enough. to be a starter, right? There's no question about that. And so, if you bring Bobby back, you're bringing him back as an emergency guy. If somebody gets hurt, if something happens, to where that he could come in, he could play well enough to get the job done. I mean, I think the dude. I was just looking at his PFF. I think he only gave up. They said he only allowed 2 sacks. Only had 5 penalties, but his PFF grade is not the greatest. Pass blocking is a 57.4. His run block grade is a 45.3. That ranks 71st and 85th amongst active tackles. So if you bring him back as an insurance plan. Somebody that can come in, that can step in. I'm still. How much money did you say we had available? 88 million? 83. I think if we're gonna spend some money, I think about 80 million of that 80 needs to go to the offensive line. Go get some guys. Go get some guys. Again, you appreciate guys for what they did, stepping in, but sometimes it's thank you and I wish you luck. Go get some
on tape.
Go get some guys that can actually get the job done. Some guys that can really block, pass blocking, run blocking, some guys that are mean, some guys that can get dirty in the trenches, because that's what you need to go and win a Super Bowl. You need some guys who are going to do the dirty work, who are going to be physical. I don't want to see, again, go get some guys where I'm not going to know what they look like. I know what our offensive line looks like, and I shouldn't. We need to go get somebody else.
Okay, Deshaun Hand on the defensive line is another name out there. Had a 1-year deal with the Chargers last year, 1.5 sacks this year. But I thought he was a big part of that defensive line. We talked about him a lot. His name came up a lot. Not for negative reasons, for good reasons. I thought he was. I think he's a physical, solid defensive lineman. What do you think about that guy, Jim? You want him back?
Possibly, but you know what? We have to do our due diligence like every team does. We need to find talent. We need to find the next guy. We need to find, somebody that is, surprising people, that's making eyebrows go up. That is, making coaches, circle their name instead of putting lines through it. I mean, you got to be able to, find and develop talent. And like you said earlier, I think it was you, Pete, that people want to come to this team now. This is an attractive place to go. They're watching, some of these other players and people, McDaniel, come here and they see, what the opportunity is. So, I think the opportunity to, for the free agent part of it is good, but I think it's very important that we uncover the next guys that we find through development or, combine or whatever, that we're able to find young talent that's going to make an impact and a difference, out of the college and rookie ranks.
All right, here's a couple of names on the offensive side of the ball, KB, and I know you'll have opinions on. We've talked about Najee Harris before. We all kind of thought he's probably going to have to move on, but Hassan Haskins is another free agent for the Chargers. We all definitely believe there needs to be an addition to the backfield. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to get rid of anybody, but they got to have another guy. The Najee thing for me is like, depending on what he costs, I might be willing to run it back with that guy. I mean, he didn't really ever get his feet wet.
Depends on the price tag.
That's the bottom line for everything, right? What is it?
Well, yeah, but he's got something to prove. For me, he's got something to prove. He's going to prove that you can be healthy, you can fit in, that you can stay on the field. I mean, if you're going to try and command a bunch of money, then forget that. He needs to be thinking about hometown discount. Do you want to play in this Super Bowl potential team or not? Because I think the guys where he's going to fall in the ranks, there's going to be other choices. I'm not paying a whole lot of money for Najee Harris.
Yeah, again, that injury is what scares me about Najee.
Yep.
A running back's biggest key to success is his lower half, is his lower extremities. And so what does he look like coming off of rupturing his Achilles? Like, do you have the same explosiveness? Are you able to cut the same? Are you as powerful? Like, that injury is so scary to me as a running back, period, in the game of football, right? Because everything is about foot placement, being able to push off, being able to absorb contact and absorb energy. And as a running back, that's what we do. We're either giving contact or we're receiving it, figuring out some way, somehow how to break through it. And so I love Najee, and I love what he did in Pittsburgh. And I was as high as you could be on him when he came to the Chargers, and I thought that would be the two-headed monster was going to be something for the world to see in Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris. But I'm not sure if I'm willing to take that risk, right? I'm not sure if I'm willing to bring him back again due to the type of injury that he suffered. I just don't know. And if I'm a GM, to what you guys just said, the price tag. If I can get a bargaining price for Najee Harris, a 1-year prove it deal, because in all honesty, I think that's what he's going to get wherever he goes. Danger. What does that say? Danger closed.
Consistent 1,000-yard runner.
Consistent before tearing or rupturing his Achilles, right?
There's a lot of question marks hanging over.
You know what I'm saying.
Worst injury ever.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. His every season in Pittsburgh, he was a 1,000-yard rusher, one of the best backs in the league, in my opinion. But that injury, it's not like he tore his hamstring. It's not like he tore his ACL. He ruptured his Achilles tendon, and that's not something that a lot of guys come back from and look the same.
At all.
So I would have to
come back from that. A lot of people,
and again, I always talk about the advancement of medicine, right? So anything is possible, but if I'm the Chargers, I'm not in a wait mode, right? We don't need
projects.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I have Justin Herbert. I need to win now. I have the guys that I'm in a win right now type mode. So Najee Harris would be somebody with my GM hat on. I thank you. I wish you well. I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you for what you did for us, but we're gonna go in another direction.
What about ASAP Kimchi's point? Najee's skill set is redundant to Omarion Hampton. Need a third down pass catching back with juice to complement. Oh yes,
totally talk about it. Talk about it.
Tell it.
Absolutely. That is hitting the nail right on the head. That's the guy we need right there.
Yep.
Third down back with juice, right?
And
I'm a little crazy or curious how much you love kimchi, if I'm reading that correctly. I don't know about you guys, not a fan of the kimchi. I've tried it.
I like kimchi. I like it. I like it.
I wish
I'm all about the Asian fusion food. Listen, I love it.
Speaking of food, that guy that showed up late, dock him 2 hot dogs.
It's like apologizing for being late. Hey, we're just happy you're here. You don't have to.
Yeah, way to be here.
It's a job for us. Not for you. You come in whenever you want. And you can listen back on wherever you get your podcasts or here on YouTube. So we got one more break to take. When we come back, we pretty much hit all of the free agents. But there is a guy out there that's a free agent on another team that somebody threw out in a story. A bit of a pipe dream, I think, but we'll get to that after the break. It's the Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. All right, today's episode also brought to you by FanDuel. Winter games are officially here and underway. If you're anything like us, you're locking in on events on NBC Peacock or whatever cable provider you had, because we only get to see these type of things every 4 years, which is why I'm all in. I'm all in on all of it. I love it all. I don't care. Even that stupid biathlon where they ski and shoot. That's another Jerry Seinfeld joke, which we'll talk about later. He goes, I don't think those things make too much sense. It's like swimming to the end of the pool and strangling a guy. It doesn't make any sense. Why do we need those two things? But nonetheless, they're there and they're fun to watch, and they're even more fun when you have action on them. And following the games on FanDuel just makes a lot of sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action, the drama of curling matches that start slow and somehow get intense, fast, speed skating, hockey. It's all available, ski jumping, snowboarding, etc. The Winter Games are on in Milano and Cortino. There's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. Although biathlon does make sense because it kind of dates back to my daughter was saying the same thing. Why do they ski and shoot? Think about it. When you're hunting in the winter, you're skiing on your cross country skis and you got to shoot. And the other thing that's interesting about it is when you're skiing, your heart rate's up. When you're shooting, it needs to be down. So it's very tough to do that. It's not easy.
Well, they should have to carry a 50-pound weight back. If you're going to go shoot something, you going to take it home and eat it or what?
Yes, you are. Or maybe you make another trek to pick it up. Who knows? Where were we? Oh, here's the name that somebody threw out in some article I read. A.J. Brown. He's a free agent. The Chargers want to make a big splash move. According to the story I read, they do. They're talking about this. This is something that is kind of on their radar. Not necessarily A.J. Brown, but a big splash move. And A.J. Brown would absolutely be that. With Keenan Allen being a question mark because he's getting up there and he's a free agent, and we don't know that they want to go down that. Nothing against Keenan Allen. He's the all-time leader in pass reception for the Chargers. He's a legendary Charger. He'll have his number retired, etc. But, it's at that point of the career, as KB just said, nothing personal. This is business. We appreciate you. We love you, but we're moving on. And I think that's going to be the situation with Keenan Allen. You want to move on from him with a guy like A.J. Brown, KB?
It is, and I struggle with this one, right? Because we all know who A.J. Brown is and what he brings to the table. We all know he's a true number one receiver, and that's something that the Chargers do not have. We do not have a true number one. And so if you bring him in, you have that, and I believe that now opens up the field for.
I need to adjust something. I made a mistake, and
he's not a free agent. It would have to come through trade.
And the story was focusing on trade deals. Thank you, Albert. My bad. I apologize. He is not a free agent, but they do have, with the money and the draft picks, they got 5. They could make a deal to trade for him. Correct.
And that is it worth it, right? Because you're gonna have to give up a lot.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to give up some draft stock. You're gonna have to give up a player. So whatever it is, you're gonna have to give up to get him. But I don't know what his price tag would be based off of, because in my opinion, he was a huge part of the reason the Eagles had the malfunction that they had. Right. And so when you bring him in, you bring in a guy, the diva tag, a guy that wants the ball, that guy and he's very, very vocal about it when things aren't going his way. And as a player, I hate that. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody talks about distraction and it's not. But when you're in those locker rooms, you get tired of hearing that. Like, bro, just shut up and play the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? For real, that's what you start to think. Like, you understand everybody wanting to make an impact, wanting to be the guy, and especially for someone who has been the guy his entire career. So what are you willing to give? And is it worth it? I think with the level of talent that he brings to the table, yes, if you can make it work, Herbert, just throw him the ball. You're going to have to get it. We won't see a lot of Lad. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Oh, for sure.
I don't like that. I didn't see another story.
Trade package. You're going to have to probably give him up in order to get that. No, that's a bag of problems. I mean, this is a guy that's already won. He's got his ring. He acts like a malcontent. I don't want to bring that negative energy into this very positive locker room. I'm a hard pass on AJ in any scenario. And that if he's not a free agent, I got to give somebody up for it. Double no.
And you got to go ahead, Pete.
I did see another story that we don't usually tease this far ahead, but for next week's show about why Ladd McConkey and Mike McDaniel are going to be a great matchup or a great duo, right? A good pairing. There are a lot of reasons why, he could very well. I know it's tough for a slot guy to be your number one guy, but it's not impossible. The Patriots have done it. So, he could absolutely step into those shoes. We're going to talk about that more next week as opposed to today. But it could potentially cost him time because you're not getting rid of Quentin Johnson. You got to get him the ball. And you've got the tight end situation. So there's a lot of hands to feed.
But if there's a splash they're looking for, what about Tyreek? I mean, is that even an option?
Don't know. Rick suggests Tee Higgins maybe rather.
I love Tee Higgins. I love Tee Higgins, and I think he fits the mold of what the Chargers are building, right? But going back to AJ, like outside of his talent, that's a $23 million cap hit, right? And we just talked about how that money and how fast it can be eaten up. The dude has a huge contract. So are you willing to pay for that contract? And we talk about continuity, right? And that's what this team is building from a coaching staff from a player standpoint. Can he come in? We're saying can he, but hypothetically, could he come in and could he fit in with this group, right? And sometimes a fresh restart is what's needed. Maybe his time in Philadelphia is, it's run its course. Problems with the quarterback, and in my opinion, there's a better quarterback in Los Angeles than there is out there in Philadelphia. I think Herbert is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, in my opinion. And so it could work, and I think it would be great if it did work, because you are getting an absolute dog. You're getting a guy who can make every catch, make every play. So it could work, and I think other guys would benefit from it, because if you're going to double team somebody, if you're playing against the Chargers, you're going to double team AJ. And now that gives Ladd those one-on-one opportunities, that give Quentin those one-on-one opportunities, that gives Trey, that gives Gaston, that gives guys an opportunity to really get off on one-on-one matchups. So there is value to bringing him over. There's a lot of value in that. But it's what headspace are you going to be in, and are you willing to be a team player? When it doesn't go your way, are you going to throw a fit? When you don't have 10, 11 catches in a game and you aren't the primary target, will you be the guy? Because we've seen how this offense works. One week it's this guy, the next week it's another. It's not consistently the same guy. So there's pros and cons to it. The biggest con is a 20 million.
You know who is a free agent who you don't have to give up somebody for other than cash is Mike Evans. You want to splash?
Mike ain't going nowhere. Tampa ain't letting Mike go. I'm gonna let you know right now, JD. I was in Tampa for 3 years. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not letting Mike Evans go anywhere. Anywhere. I'm telling you right now, they're probably willing to give because not only is Mike a great player, Mike is a great human being.
Yeah. By
far, one of the best teammates I've ever had in my life. And I don't say that lightly, and Mike is one of the greatest dudes that you could have on your team and within your organization. So if I am the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm not letting Mike Evans walk. I understand you're a free agent, but that's placebo, because you're not.
All those years, all those injuries, you sure?
Listen, Tampa Bay is not letting Mike Evans walk. If they do, that would be the biggest. And listen, I understand what Tampa has over there with Ibuka and all those young cats. They got some guys. I ain't letting Mike Evans walk.
He's 32, by the way. So
no, we're not bringing Brandon Ayuk in here. No.
Rick,
no,
KB
no,
says
H-Town. Listen, no. We let him go to the H-Town. He can go out there where you from. He can go play for the Texans. We're not bringing Brandon Ayuk. No, absolutely.
That was a hard no. He wanted himself to say no.
No, listen, did you see how that? Listen, one thing about me, I want to see how a guy responds once he gets the bag, once he gets paid. And in my opinion, what I seen from Brandon Ayuk, you quit, bro. You got paid and said, I'm good. No, I don't want you here. I'm good. No.
Albert has a suggestion. Free agent route, Alec Pierce with Ladd underneath, and further development of Trey is what I'd love to see, with Quentin Johnston used as a gadget guy like Cordell Patterson.
I like that. I don't know why I never thought about that, but Quentin
Johnston's not a gadget guy. He's a stretch the field guy. But I mean, I'm up for changing things around.
Yeah, and when you use the term gadget guys, right? It's just adding more to the tool belt. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he necessarily Cordell Patterson had one of the most unique skill sets that I've ever seen in a player, right? And so I'm not sure Quentin carries that same skill set. Like you said, he's a guy that's going to stretch the field. You can run the jet sweeps with him, but you could put Cordell Patterson anywhere. You could put him at running back. My days when we were in, it's a benefit to being a journeyman in the NFL, right? And so going back to my days with the New England Patriots, when Bill first said, you know what, let's put Cordell at running back. Everybody's like, what, at running back? The dude gets in, and I think his first game he rushed for like 70 or 80 yards, was an absolute monster, absolute beast. And I'm not sure that Quentin carries that same skill set, but to some degree he does. And so I would, you could absolutely get more out of Quentin by using him in different spots of the game, not just as a guy that can stretch the field down, because we all know he has the speed to do that, but he is a bigger body guy that you can use out of the backfield. He is a guy. I like how the Seattle Seahawks use JSN, right? They use them on routes out of the backfield, option routes, post routes out of the backfield. You can use Quentin like that because of his stature, because of his size, and he would be a matchup nightmare for defenses. So I like that, but I do think you need to find a true number one receiver. You do.
Yeah, AJ, I don't know. I mean, I think it's an interesting thing to think about, and that's what we're here for. But as Albert also pointed out that Harbaugh's never really had a true number one. Would AJ?
I won't say never. You go back to his 49er days.
I was trying to think who was there during that point in time.
He had Anquan. I think Anquan Bolden was there.
Oh yeah.
And was Crabtree there at the same time?
Sure, let's go with yes.
I'm about
Sounds
to.
good. Sounds good to me.
Crabtree's the one that Sherman called out after the game, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Was Crabtree? I could be wrong. I'm sure y'all fact check me out in the comments, but I think Crabtree was there. So he had, if my memory is serving me right, because I don't know, but if that was the case, because I think I'm correct. He's had some experience with guys that are number one receivers. Now, whether or not they perform like it is a different conversation.
The thing, I look at AJ and I think this is what I think. He needs to be on a team kind of like Seattle, where they don't have a whole myriad of options, right? So to come into the Chargers, it would have to be a mindset change for him. And I tend to kind of agree a little bit with Jim that he probably wouldn't fit in, but it's not saying he can't. Like if he came in with the right mindset, then let's do it. But if he comes in there like, it's my team and all that sort of business, chest pounding and not being, one of, like assimilating to the group and integrating himself smoothly. There could be that malcontent.
Part of that, does he come in with the right mindset? He doesn't have the right mindset with the current team he's with that he won a Super Bowl with. The guy's a diva. He's a problem. I don't want it.
Yeah. Well, it's all interesting to look at because it's all out there still. And hopefully by next week, maybe the Chargers will have made a big splash trade and we'll talk about that. But for today, we've covered it all. We have touched on our favorite Charger game of the season, a bunch of free agents, $83.5 million, and how far it goes this year or these days in the NFL. And some great comments today. Albert, nice work. Rick, as always, appreciate you guys. Hugo, thanks for chiming in. And
shout out to Hugo. Hugo here every week.
Right?
Yes, indeed. And don't ever be late again, Hugo.
You're gonna get detention. We're gonna find you, okay?
In the spin bin. All right, for Jim Daniels and Kenjon Barner, I am Pete Fox. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Appreciate the comments. We'll talk to you guys again next week. Have a good weekend. See ya.